Hello, friends. You're listening to BVZ Radio, the voice of Barron. This is Rebel Girl Radio, and I am your Rebel Girl, out of control. Today, I'm going to talk to you about some stuff. Most specifically, gender, what gender is, why gender is, what's the obsession about having to categorize ourselves into these two nice and neat categories, and all that stuff. We're going to explore why I have such a problem with gender and other fun, exciting things to come on Rebel Girl Radio, on BVZ Radio, Barron's Voice. Listening to Rebel Girl Radio on BVZ Radio, Baron's Voice. I'm your host, Out of Control. Today, we're talking about gender and defining gender and why we feel the need to define ourselves in terms of gender. There's many layers to the gender cake, although many people may choose to be the cake or the frosting. I don't know. This metaphor is not really going to work for me. So, anyways, gender. Gender is a very peculiar thing, at least for me. Like, most people, they're just like, oh, I'm a girl, or I'm a boy, or, I'm a woman, and I'm a man. But even just the definitions of these things are not clear from one person's mind to another. For example, like, do you have to be misogynistic to be a man? No. And do you have to, be perfect? I don't know. Do you have to be anything that these categories tell you to be? And do you have to put yourself in these categories? Despite popular belief, no, you do not. You do not have to define yourself in these black and white terms. You can be a person. Or, it may be the problem's not the terms themselves. It's the connotations that go along with the terms. And people who, I just don't understand how all of this came to be. Over the years, it's become more and more controversial, obviously, as some of you may have noticed. There's a lot more gray area. There's a big population of transgendered people who before just, quietly chose a group and lived unhappy lives. And it's a very revolutionary and awesome thing that people are now beginning to be brave enough to explore the gray areas. And I think that, I feel like I'm somewhere in the gray area. I'm not transgender per se, but I would say that I'm genderless because I've never been able to identify as a woman. Like, I have woman parts. I've had babies. My body is a woman. But, as far as my identity goes, I don't feel like a woman because I don't, most people are like, oh, you're a woman, so you like men who are muscular and, buff guys from the Calvin Klein ads with the crew cuts and the, fancy jeans and, whatever. And no, I just don't identify with that. So my whole life I've been wondering if I've, gone back and forth on whether I'm the crazy one or if it's actually possible that everybody else is crazy, everybody who doesn't question, gender and just blindly follows the rules of that category. So, it goes back and forth in my own mind. A lot of times I feel like I'm just crazy with gender issues as well as many other issues in my life. So it's very possible that I'm crazy. But I don't know. I just feel alienated by society. And one of the main reasons is because I don't choose to identify myself as your standard woman. So on that topic, let's listen to a little bit of Bikini Kill with their song, Alien She. You're listening to Rebel Girl Radio on BVZ Radio, Baron's Voice.
Feminine.
You're listening to Rebel Girl Radio on BVZ Radio, Baron's Voice. I'm your host, Out of Control. Today, we're talking about gender. And I realized that I forgot to mention what the first song you heard was. The first song before Bikini Kill's Alien She was Premature Burial by Susie and the Banshees. Just in case you're wondering, which, they deserve credit for their own music being played on this station. So, anyways, back to gender. I feel like I could just rant on this topic for a very long time. I've written papers and done speeches and presentations and all kinds of things and defend my own children because I have a son and a daughter, as I may have mentioned before. And, they do not follow gender roles. Maybe that's because I don't force them upon them. I think they have a good mix, and I feel like they will grow up to be stronger people and more confident in themselves because of me letting them explore both sides of whatever. Like, my son recently got into watching Powerpuff Girls, which is really awesome because the more I watch it now, I saw it back in the day, but now that I watch it, it's, specifically going out of the way to question the same things that I'm questioning. And, they point out things, and like one of the bad guys was, saying not nice things about women, and that was what made him a villain and stuff like that. Like, that was really cool. But my son, he's really into the Powerpuff Girls, and my daughter is really into watching the Avengers and superheroes and stuff, and they trade off, and it's very awesome. And I think that it's very good for children to be able to figure out what they like based on what they like. Like, don't say, here is this, only watch this because this is for girls and you're a girl. And here, this is for boys, you watch this and only this. Don't you look at that girl station. Stuff like that is just not cool. So I think on that point, one of the main reasons that I think that gender roles are so ingrained in us is because they're used as a way of marketing. I mean, it makes marketing easier when you can just split everything up into two categories. Like, this is going to appeal to boys and this is going to appeal to girls. But me, as a child, and, many other people, I didn't like the toys in the pink aisle. The pink aisle was boring to me. All the fun stuff was in the blue aisle. And that's always been true. All the girl toys are, easy bake ovens and learn to be a mommy. Like, let the girls have some fun before they have to do all that crap. Jeez. At least that's, how I feel. I had a little sister and two little stepsisters growing up, and they were all, very girly, pink everything, everywhere. And they would play house a lot, as many little girls do. And they, wanted me to join in the fun. And, of course, I always ended up being the dad or the pet, which is very silly. And they were all fighting over who was going to be the mommy the whole time. I was like, I'll be the panther. I'm like, what? So, I don't know. Just a little bit of background on maybe why I have so much emotion towards this, because it's just always been something, a theme throughout my life. So, I don't know. I think it also, like, in some ways, me feeling alienated and what have you from society in general, that it made me into a more skeptical and maybe pessimistic type person. And I feel myself like, I don't know, just not connecting with people. And then I just feel angry a lot. I don't have a lot of friends. And a lot of that's because I don't have a lot of time, and friends take time, they at least appreciate your time. So I'm angry. I'm an angry person. So I rebel against everything. Not true. So here, I'm trying to get into my point of Horrible by Jack Off Jill. The song, I feel like I relate to it really well, especially when it talks about still hating everyone. I feel like I hate everyone, and not in a mean way, just I don't know. I can't beat them and I can't join them, so I'm just going to scowl at you all. Whatever. So, anyways, back to music. Jack Off Jill, Horrible, Baron, BVZ Radio, Rebel Girl Radio. Have fun. You're listening to Rebel Girl Radio on BVZ Radio, Baron's Voice. I'm your host, Out of Control. Today, I'm talking about gender and why gender makes me so mad. Why am I so mad? I don't know. Gender. So, maybe, I think you can probably, I don't know, blame Kim Young for gender being such a strong thing in the forefront of my mind right now because we've been watching these documentaries. Killing Us Softly 4 by Jean Kilbourne. She has done a series of Killing Us Softly, as you may have thought, because I said 4. And it's not just a random number. It is her 4th version of the same exact documentary, challenging advertisements or advertising and the fact that there's like no females featured in an advertisement that are not objectified in some way, shape, or form, whether it's, you know, only using a piece of their body to advertise some product that has nothing to do with a body of a woman, like beer or something. You know, we're all very familiar with women in advertisement and how ridiculous it can sometimes be. And there's like no shame. Like everyone knows it happens and everyone's like, oh, well, maybe I'll get a beer. I don't know. So that's just one of the many things that make me angry. But, you know, that just happens, I guess, when you're an angry person. And I don't know why, like, I got to grow up having this super critical outlook on life. And it made me, like, not ever want to succumb to, like, just social norms just because everyone else is. I mean, I guess that's really good because, you know, I never got into drugs and all that stuff. But I don't know. There just seems like there's, like, a backlash against people who refuse to conform to these ideas. And you'll have that. So when I was young and I realized that, like, I can't even pretend to try to go along with this. Like, I have tried, and I just look stupid, and I feel stupid, and I don't know what I'm doing. I can't afford the makeup or the clothes, so why even bother? I think it's just a waste of time and money and efforts and, you know, not to mention all the animal testing on the makeups and stuff. You know, I like eyeliner because I don't really have many eyelashes. I like eyeliner and lip gloss. But I don't know. There's many, like I said, there's many layers of the gender cake, and I'm going to slice through at least a couple of them today. But for right now, because I feel like I've been rambling for a little longer than I should be, we're going to get back into some music. This is the Dresden Dolls with their song Backstabber on BVZ Radio, Baron's Voice, Rebel Girl Radio. Doses.
The record goes from blue to gold, so thank you for all your help. I know you want to jump around, but try to contain yourself. You always struck me as the type to take it lightly, but now you're gonna have to shut your mouth and fight me. Oh, backstabber, backstabber, you're all alone, you're all over the popular magazines. I'll never care. What do you care? You're down with the Japanese, but you got no right to sit there saying, oh, you abuse it, when you only sleep with girls who say they like your music. Oh, backstabber, 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 oh, grab a greedy little bit. Oh my God, I feel for you, fool. You shit lover of Russian jaded bit of joy, crushed fear has made you so cruel. You
You're listening to Rebel Girl Radio on BVZ Radio, Baron's Voice. I'm your host, Out of Control. Today I'm talking about gender, and I'm talking about why you should question your gender. No, not really. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the gender categories and what they mean and why we're so obsessed with fitting into them and why we're so obsessed with oppressing our children with them and impressing them upon the children. And it's not always healthy, especially the way in which a lot of people do it, specifically to boys. Now, another one, I mentioned Gene Kilborn's Killing Us Softly series, which is award-winning. And also, most recently, we watched, what's his name? Thomas Keith's The Bro Code documentary, which, you know, is Kilborn focused more on women in advertisement, and Keith talked about how men are enslaved to this idealism of being a man and how that's been constructed in our society, including just immersing men in porn and the bro police and stuff like that. You know, people using, like, if you're telling a little boy, like if he's crying and telling him to stop acting like a girl, or using, you know, girl as a threat or as a derogative term towards a boy, not only, like, can you imagine what impression that gives to a girl when you're, like, threatening, you know, her brother that he is going to be like you? Like, what does that do to the girls? You know, let alone how boys internalize that and then, you know, understand that as how to treat women. They devalue women because, you know, I wouldn't want to be like them. So then they get in the position of, you know, the women being enslaved by the power that they're inherently given because they have boy parts, which somehow makes them superior. Whatever. So, you know, it's harmful for our children, and this only, like, breeds oppression, and when one group is oppressed and another group is uplifted, it just causes an environment for violence, and that's not cool, because women's injuries from domestic type situations, domestic abuse, and, you know, just fights with men, mostly men, but, you know, they're injuries that women sustain in these type of situations are the leading cause of injuries for women, more than muggings, more than rapes, and something else. I forget the other one. But more than car accidents, muggings, and rapes combined, women's injuries from domestic situations tops all of those combined. That's just crazy to me. Not even, you know, not to mention that 3 husbands kill their wives every day in the United States, and 80% of all women who are murdered by an intimate partner. So just there's so much information out there as to why it's dangerous to breed these sorts of ideas into men specifically, but also women. You know, they're taught to just submit, and, you know, that's just the way things are. And, you know, if you get raped, then you can go to the police and, you know, they might not respond to you. Anyways. And so we're talking about gender and why it's difficult living in a world that's gender coded so strictly. And to get into some more music, because right now I'm questioning my sanity. So let's listen to a song called Questioning My Sanity by L7. You're listening to Rebel Girl Radio on BVZ Radio, Baron's Voice.
I'm laying here in my bed. Am I alive or
You're listening to Rebel Girl Radio on BVZ Radio, Baron's Voice. That was L7 Questioning My Sanity. Up next, Ohio by an indie Portlandian artist named Autry.
We've been wasting time away, alternate circumstance we contemplate, and we've been drinking ourselves away just to reach for another day. And I said, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh. I've been passing limousines with tainted windows, no, you can't be seen. Fame so much power, it will eat your soul. So you better sell it before you hit the road. Hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, I could just scream instead of saying words. I could make this worth it, make me hurt. Take it for the team, you better save yourself. You can't be selfish if it pertains to wealth. Hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, oh,
You're listening to Rebel Girl Radio on BVZ Radio, Baron's Voice. I have been talking about gender a lot today. I seem to talk about gender a lot sometimes. Maybe it's, just seeing sexism run rampant in society kind of ticks me off from time to time. I'm guilty, I guess, of being a little over-emotional in a lot of situations, especially situations when I see women being victimized and what have you. I can't watch, Law and Order, SVU, and stuff. Maybe it's just because of my own trauma and my own past. But I can't do it. I don't understand how people can sit there and watch, a Law and Order SVU marathon. It just makes me sick to think about, these things actually do happen. And even, worse things than they confront a lot of times happen. And the reason that there's so much sex crime is because, men are brought up to be untouchable, to feel untouchable, and to feel that they take whatever they want, and to feel that women are objects, and, the more notches they've got on their bedboard, the more of a man they are. Yet, there's the whole issue of slut shaming. There's 200 and something negative words to describe a sexually active female, where there's a dozen positive terms to describe a sexually active man. Now, so how is it that men's only goals are, just generally speaking, men are taught to only care about having sex and getting as many women as they can, yet women are supposed to be this pure object, but at the same time they're horribly sexualized. You can't have anything sold to a woman or a man without the promise of sex from the opposite sex. And not there's a lot of homosexuals out there who I'm sure feel just as alienated by the heteronormative take on advertisement. And just as they're just as alienated by that as I am by just, having the woman ideal force fed down my throat. And I think a band that talks about that problem, just the whole issue of trying to find identity within the gender terms that we're given, like it's just so difficult. And Spit Boy tackles a lot of gender issues from a lot of different angles. But for this show, this song is very relevant. It's called In Tradition. It's by Spit Boy, and it, you know, like I was talking before about how some of the songs are harder to understand than others. Spit Boy, you know, they're screamy and they're a little bit like harder to understand sometimes. But the chorus of this, which is the most important part, is looking for gender, looking for definition. And that's just very true for, I'm sure, many people who are having troubles with the gender stereotypes and not being able to fit into them. So here is Spit Boy with their song In Tradition. You're listening to Rebel Girl Radio on BVZ Radio, Baron's Voice. You're listening to Rebel Girl Radio on BVZ Radio, Baron's Voice. That was Spit Boy with their awesome song In Tradition, which is challenging gender stereotypes and the notion of having to identify yourself with the definitions of gender. And you don't, in case you're wondering. So, there's also been like a lot of developments and reworkings of gender over the course of history. A lot of people aren't really aware that the colors associated with the genders used to be switched. Pink used to be for boys, and blue used to be for girls. And if you don't believe me, look it up. It's true. I kid you not. And so on the subject of reworking things in these ideals, it used to be, generally speaking, it used to be viewed that, like, the less masculine the man, the safer, like, they were for women to associate with without the danger of sexual tension or, just them constantly trying to get in your pants. And what Keith brought up in the bro code is that there's a new model of the nerd, I guess. And it is referred to as the McLovin model. Many of you, I'm sure, have seen Superbad with the iconic nerds just constantly trying to get laid, trying to get alcohol for the girls to impress them so they can get them drunk so they can have sex with them. And that's pretty much the definition of the McLovin model. So, I mean, it just seems like now that we've over-sexualized everything we can think of, like, let's try to sexualize things that aren't even supposed to be sexualized, in the sense of, like, there's, like, perfume bottles that are, like, sexually shaped. And there's just so much, and it's just so strange. And how do we expect what Kilborn referred to as a sexually toxic culture? How do we expect anybody to grow up healthy and sane under these conditions is beyond me. So, I don't know. I think they're, like, in the bro code, they were talking about the gender police or masculinity police. I forget exactly what term he used. And there's, a long list of people who are responsible for influencing you, specifically men, because it was the bro code. So there's, specifically targeting how men turn into men, how we make them into men, how we make sexist, abusive men in our society. And the gender police, which consists of friends and family and co-workers and what have you, going back to the, just trying to hurt somebody's feelings by calling them a girl. Like, that's an insult. But yet I'm supposed to feel empowered by myself. I don't know. So just, it's a lot of it starts with the parents, because parents, you're my little boy, you're my little girl. Fortunately, maybe it's fortunate that my dad insisted that I was going to be his son. I was his firstborn. So, and he wanted a son really bad, and he never got his son. So I was his son, and we watched Monday Night Football and wrestled and did all that fun stuff. And I don't know. So a lot of the gender ingrained stereotypes that we have come from our family, and specifically, like, our mothers. We look to our mothers to let us, know how we're supposed to act in a lot of different situations. And just on that topic, I'm going to play a song called Mothers by a band called Anti-Schism. And it's not specifically talking about gender as much as it's talking about, like, drafting and such. But it's still, worth a listen. So this is, where is it? There it is. Anti-Schism's Mothers. You're listening to Rebel Girl Radio on BVZ Radio, Baron's Voice.
When they
listening to Rebel Girl Radio on BVZ Radio. That was Anti-Schism with their song Mothers. Another band who is well known for targeting gender in their material is Crass. You're listening to Rebel Girl Radio on BVZ Radio, Baron's Voice. That was Systematic Death by the band Crass. Iconic. Crass has so many songs that are so relevant to women's issues that I'm probably going to play a song from them every single show. Just because even if I do that, I'm still not going to get through all the ones that I want to play for you guys. So be prepared for that. Hopefully you'll learn to like Crass if you don't already love them. Either you love them or you hate them. So if you know of them, then you probably already have an opinion. And so I'm either going to make you very happy or make you upset. So, anyways, Crass is awesome. That song was, just depicting and deconstructing gender roles and marriage and, relationships and gender roles within relationships and all that good stuff. So, next, I would like to play a song for you from a couple of ladies who are in Jamestown, New York. My friend Sarah is playing guitar in this song, and her friend Margot is singing, and it's a really good song. And I'm not even sure what the name is, sadly, because I just have it like listed as Sarah and Margot track 3, but I like to call it like she or her or something like that. And I haven't gotten a hold of her to figure out what the name actually is. But it's a really nice song, and it's a little slower than some of the other songs we were playing. We started out a little slow. I'm going to slow it down a little bit towards the end here for you. And here is whatever the name of this song is by Sarah and Margot. And it's a really pretty song, so please enjoy it. You're listening to Rebel Girl Radio on BVZ Radio, Baron's Voice.
I gave her the chance to change, and every time she steals and lies again. I fell for her manipulation, and she sells herself for more and more and more attention. The sea is wrong, her life has grown so dim. Living is her only flaw. Her cuts and bruises are from her own razor, and when she screams, I pretend I can't hear her. She hates herself and her own reflection, so she breaks her only mirror. She cries when she dreams, and she laughs when she screams, and she screams so loud. She's so completely, oh, she's so completely empty. She's so spoiled in her own sour way. Evil embraces her night and day. I've watched her grow, I've seen her lie. Keep her away, oh please keep her away from your children. Take her away, I said take her away where she can stay far from me. Living is her only flaw. She lies and she steals, and she lies and she steals, and she lies and she steals again, 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 again. And when she screams, I pretend I can't hear her. Oh no. I gave her the chance to change.
You're listening to BVZ Radio. Rebel Girl Radio on BVZ Radio, Baron's Voice. That was Sarah and Margot with their beautiful song that I'm not even sure has a name, but I like it anyways because I feel like I can relate to it a lot. So I had a lot of fun on the week 3, and I didn't even mention every show I have signifies the start of the next week of the government shutdown. That's interesting to note that this is week 3, the beginning of week 3 of the government shutdown. And if we don't figure something out in the next 48 hours, it seems, then we're going to be in even bigger trouble if we do not raise the debt ceiling and all that good stuff. But I don't have enough time to talk about that right now because I talked about gender all day. And I will talk about gender every day until I don't have to anymore. How about that? Anyways, a song that I wrote kind of talking about gender roles a little bit and such is called Why. And I don't know why, but I am compelled to actually sing the vocals live right now for you. It's your special treat. And I'm going to end with that. So this was a fun 3rd episode of Rebel Girl Radio on BVZ Radio, Baron's Voice. And I'm just gonna go into it because if I don't, I'm gonna be too afraid. I'm gonna back out and I'm just gonna play the one that has the vocals already recorded on it. So this song is called Why by Out of Control, and that's me. So here we go. You think you know me well, but I don't know myself. You think I go all out, but I live in a shell. Please don't tell that I'm not well. Your father taught you how to be a man. I don't want to look at you, so please don't look at me. Now I'm on my knees, screaming please. So why should I trust you? I'd rather die than give in to you. Don't do this to me. I don't want to be. I'll die before it washes away. Without a soul, my heart decays. Now I'm on my knees, screaming please. So why? Ooh, ooh. This has been Rebel Girl Radio on BVZ Radio, Baron's Voice. See you guys again. Same awesome place, same awesome time. Have a good week.